Imagine living with the knowledge that, because of a single decision you made, all of humanity would suffer. Now imagine carrying that weight for hundreds of years. This is the story of Adam and Eve, but not the version you were told. Today, you're about to uncover something most people overlook when reading the book of Genesis: how their story truly ends, what the Bible says and what it doesn't say, and the most unsettling detail of all, the silence. Yes, there is something deeply strange about the way this story ends. Adam, the first man, created directly by God, had his death recorded in just a single sentence, and Eve simply fades from the narrative. No farewell, no explanation, no closure. But was that intentional? Or is there a deeper message hidden beneath the surface? Stay with me until the end, because what you're about to hear may completely change the way you see the beginning and the end of humanity. Before death existed, before pain, before fear, there was perfection. In the opening of Genesis, we are introduced to a world completely unlike the one we know today. A world without suffering. A world untouched by time. A world where humanity did not age and did not die. In this reality, Adam appears. He was not born. He did not grow up. He had no childhood. He was created, formed directly by God, with purpose, with identity, with authority. Adam walked with God. He spoke with God. He lived in perfect communion. Then, something changes. It is not good for man to be alone. And so, Eve is created, not separately, but from Adam himself. Together they lived in the Garden of Eden, a place of perfection. No anxiety, no emotional pain, no trauma, no loss. But there was one command, one tree they were not permitted to touch. And that command was not about control. It was about choice. Because without choice, there can be no true love. And it was within that choice that everything changed. Everything seemed perfect until the moment of decision. Eve was deceived. The serpent introduced doubt. Did God really say that? And in that moment, something shifted, because the problem did not begin with the fruit. It began with doubt. Eve took the fruit and ate, and Adam, fully aware, chose to follow. And in that instant, the world changed forever. Sin entered, and with it, something that had never existed before: death. God declared, "For dust you are, and to dust you shall return." The first death sentence in human history. But here is something deeper. Adam and Eve did not die physically that day, yet something within them did. Innocence, purity, their perfect connection with God. And from that moment on, they lived with the knowledge that one day they would die. Think about that. They were not born fearing death. They had to learn what death was. And even more unsettling, they knew it existed because of them. After being expelled from Eden, life continues. But not as it once was. Now, there is pain, struggle, suffering. Eve experiences the anguish of childbirth. Adam must labor just to survive. Then come the children: Cain, Abel, And very early in human history, the first crime. Cain kills Abel. Think about that. The first parents to ever exist, experiencing the first loss. And not just any loss, a son murdered by his own brother. This is more than grief. It is a weight almost impossible to comprehend. Now imagine living, not for 70 or 80 years, but for 930 years, as recorded in Genesis chapter 5. 930 years, carrying memories. 930 years, watching the world drift further away from God. 930 years, witnessing sin grow, violence, pain, separation, and perhaps the most difficult part, 930 years, knowing this all began with us. The Bible does not tell us whether Adam ever found peace. It does not say if he ever smiled again. But one thing is certain: he lived long enough to witness the full weight of his decision unfold before him. And then we reach the end. Adam's death is recorded in the simplest of terms in Genesis chapter 5. And all the days that Adam lived were 930 years, and he died. That's it. No details, no emotion, no description. After everything he experienced, everything he carried, his entire ending fits into a single sentence. But perhaps that was intentional, because the message is not found in how he died, but in the fact that he died. The man who was created to live forever now faces death, the final consequence. And Eve, only silence. The Bible tells us nothing about her death. No age, no final words, no closure. And that raises a powerful question. Why? Some believe this was intentional because the story is not about how they ended, but about what they began. Other traditions suggest she lived long enough to see generations rise, carrying a deep sense of regret. But officially, no one knows. And maybe that silence is the most powerful part of the story, because it forces us to reflect. Now think about this. Adam and Eve were not just the beginning of humanity. They were the beginning of the human condition. To fail, to suffer, to feel guilt, to face consequences, but also to seek redemption. Because even after the fall, God did not abandon humanity. There was a promise, there was hope, and perhaps that is the deepest message of all. The mistake was not the end. The fall was not the conclusion. And death did not have the final word. Adam died. Eve fades from the record. But the story continues. And today, every person carries a piece of that same reality. The ability to fall, and the opportunity to rise again. So if this made you reflect, take a moment, like, subscribe, and share your thoughts below. Do you believe Adam and Eve found peace in the end, or lived with regret? Because maybe your answer says more about you than it does about them.